Integrated Pest Management. We are back with the second episode. Welcome back to Malachi Rowe Pet Podcast. Right, the concept of IPM, we had looked at that in the previous episode. How can we solve the problem with pests? We look at natural control, then we look at the integrated control. And there's a list in there. We had looked at the host resistance, we had looked at biological control. Now for this episode we want to start with cultural control. Right? So we want to look at cultural control. Cultural practices sometimes are used to reduce the number of pests that are attacking cultivated crop plants. And these practices sometimes alter the environment, the condition of the host plant, or the behavior of the pests to prevent or to suppress an infestation. They sometimes disrupt the normal relationship between the pest and the host plant and make the pest less likely to survive or grow or reproduce. So in other words, there's some competition here from the crop plant. Common cultural practices include you can rotate your crops. So you plant different crop in each growing season. The cultivation of the soil will turn over the soil and expose the eggs of these pests, or the pests themselves. Varying time of planting, so you can change your planting, you can do sequential planting, you can change the regular time that you plant and or harvest. You can plant trap crops that will, control these pests. You can adjust the row width a little wider so they don't overlap. Or you can prune, or you thin, or you fertilize, your crop plants. Right? Mechanical control or mechanical physical control, devices and machine and other methods, are used to control pests or to alter the environmental arc. Called the mechanical or the physical control. So traps and screen and barriers and fences and nets and more technical now, radiation and electricity sometimes can be used to prevent the spread or pest in an area. Light, heat and refrigeration can alter the environment enough to suppress or even eradicate some pest populations, altering the amount or water, including humidity. So a greenhouse condition here would have been ideal to do that. Can control some pests, especially insect and disease agents. Right? So we can look now at sanitation. Sanitation would have been a third control measure. Sanitation practices help to prevent and suppress some pests by removing the pests themselves or their source of food and shelter. Urban and industrial pests can be reduced by improving cleanliness, eliminating pest harborage, and increasing the frequency of garbage pickup. Management of pests attacking domestic animals is enhanced by good manure management. So we get rid of these manure and put them at the best place, or we may compost with them. So carry over of agricultural pests from one planting to the next can be reduced by removing the crop residue. So we put them wherever we want in a compost and let them break up. We use a device to crush them. And we can use that for manuring. Other forms of sanitation that help prevent pest spread include the use of pest-free seeds. So you buy your seeds from reputable sources, from reputable companies, or transplant, or you decontaminate the equipment, the animal or other possible carriers before allowing them to enter a pest-free area or leave an infested area. So proper design of food handling areas can reduce access and shelter for many of these pests. Chemical control, and this is normally what most persons rush to first. If you are looking at an integrated pest management system, then you have to include your chemical control. So pesticides are the chemical used to destroy pests, control their activity, or prevent them from causing damage. Some pesticides either attack or repel pests. Chemicals that regulate plant growth and remove foliage also are classified as pesticides. So pesticides are generally the fastest way to control, and that is why many people gravitate towards it. In many instances, they are the only tactics available. So those are some of the control measures. But not only that, we may have pest control failure. So we look at pest resistance. So pesticides fail to control some pests because the pests are resistant to the pesticide. Consider this when planning, your pest control program that rely on the use of pesticide. Rarely does any pesticide kill all the target, or all the target pests. So each time a pesticide is used, it is selectively killing the more susceptible one, so the stronger one will survive. So some pests avoid the pesticides, others withstand its effect. Pests that are not destroyed may pass along to their offspring, the trait that allow them to survive. When pesticides are used repeatedly in some places, against the same pest, the surviving pest population may be more resistant to the pesticide than its original population was. The opportunity for resistance is greater when the pesticide is used over a wide geographic area. And when the pesticide is applied repeatedly to a rather small area where pest populations are isolated, pesticide that leave a residue that gradually loses its effectiveness over time will help select out resistance. So rotating pesticide may help reduce the development of pest resistance.